Hello 5, it's Thursday. I hope you are well. We're doing chapter 13 today. We left off the last chapter with hearing that Nuria is going to be getting married. On my Google Classroom, I know my class has been talking about how old we think Nuria is. We've been saying roughly between 16 to 18 years old, we think. But I am hoping to kind of do more of a look through the book later and see if I can find exactly how old, if it mentions it in the book. So, chapter 13. But you've never even met him, Pavana explained to Nuria the next day at noon. It was the first chance they'd had to talk about it, just the two of them. Of course I've met him. His family and ours were neighbours for many years. But that's when he was a boy. I thought you wanted to go back to school. I will be going back to school, Nuria said. Didn't you listen to anything Mother was saying last night? I will be living in Mazar-e-Sharif in the north. The Taliban aren't in that part of Afghanistan. Girls can still go to school there. Both of his parents are educated. I can finish school, and they'll even send me to the university in Mazar. All of this was written in a letter that had arrived while Pavana was out at work. The women in the groom's family belonged to the same women's group as Mother. The letter had passed on from one member of the group to another until it finally reached Mother. Pavana had read the letters, but she still had a lot of questions. Do you really want to do this? Nuria nodded. Look at my life here, Pavana. I hate living under the Taliban. I'm tired of looking after the little ones. My school classes happen so seldom, they're of almost no value. There's no future here for me. At least in Mazar, I can go to school, walk the streets without having to wear a burqa, and get a job when I've completed school. Maybe in Mazar I can have some kind of life. Yes, I want to do this. There was a lot of discussion in the following days about what would happen next. Pavana, out at work, had no voice in these discussions. She was merely informed of the plans when she got home in the evening. We'll go to Mazar for the wedding, Mother announced. We can all stay with your aunt while the wedding is prepared. Then Nuria will go to live with her new family. We will return to Kabul in October. We can't leave Kabul, Pavana explained. What about Father? What will happen if he gets out of prison and we're not here? He won't know where to look for us. I'll be here, Mrs. Vera said. I can tell your father where you are and look after him until you get back. I'm not sending Nuria off to Mazar all by herself, Mother said. And since you are a child, you will come with us. I'm not going, Pavana insisted. She stamped her feet. You will do as you're told, Mother said. All this running around wild in the streets has made you think you are above yourself. I am not going to Mazar, Pavana repeated, stamping her feet again. Since your feet want to move around so much, you'd better take them out for a walk, Mrs. Vera said. You can fetch some water while you're at it. Pavana grabbed the bucket and got some satisfaction out of slamming the door behind her. Pavana glowered for 3 days. Finally, Mother said, You can take that awful frown off your face. We've decided to leave you here. Not because of your bad behaviour. A child of 11 has no business telling her mother what she will and will not do. We're leaving you here because it is too difficult to explain your appearance. Your aunt will keep your secret, of course, but we can't count on everyone being so careful. We can't take that chance of word about you getting back here. Although she was glad to remain in Kabul, Pavana found herself sulking that they weren't taking her with them. I'm not satisfied with anything anymore, she told Shuzia the next day. Neither am I, Shuzia said. I used to think that only if I could sell things from a tray, I'd be happy, but I'm not happy at all. I make more money this way than I did as a tea boy, but it's not enough to make any real difference. We're still so hungry. My family still argues all the time. Nothing is better. What's the answer? Maybe someone should drop a big bomb on the country and start again. They've tried that, Pavana said. It only made things worse. One of the women in the local branch of the women's group was going to accompany Pavana's family to the city of Mazar. Her husband would go with them as an official escort. If the Taliban asked, Mother would be the husband's sister, and Nuria, Mariam, and Ali would be the nieces and nephews. Nuria cleaned out the family cupboard one last time. Pavana watched her pack up her things. If all goes well, we'll be in Mazar in a couple of days, Nuria said. Are you scared? Pavana asked. It's a long journey. I keep thinking of things that can go wrong, but Mother says everything will be fine. They would be travelling together in the back of a truck. As soon as I get out of Taliban territory, I'm going to throw off my burqa and tear it into a million pieces. Pavana went to the market the next day to buy the family some food for the journey. She wanted to buy Nuria a present too. She wandered through the market looking for things for sale. She finally decided on a pen in a beaded case. Every time Nuria used it at university, and later when she became a real school teacher, she would think of Pavana. We'll be gone for most of the summer, Mother reminded Pavana the night before they left. You'll be fine with Mrs. Vera. Do what she tells you. Don't give her any trouble. Pavana and I will be good company for each other, Mrs. Vera said. And by the time you get back, the magazines should be coming in from Pakistan, all printed and ready to distribute. They left very early the next day. The mid-July morning was fresh, but held the promise of hot weather to follow. We'd best be going, Mother said. Since there was no one else on the street, Mother, Nuria, and Mrs. Vera had their burqas flipped up so their faces could be seen. Pavana kissed Ali, who squirmed and fussed, grumpy from being woken up early. Mother got him settled on the floor of the truck. Pavana said goodbye to Mariam after that, then lifted her onto the truck. We will see you by the middle of September, Mother said as she hugged Pavana. Make me proud of you. I will, Pavana said, trying not to cry. I don't know when we will see each other again, Nuria said just before she climbed into the truck. She had Pavana's gift clutched in her hand. It won't be long, Pavana said, grinning, even though tears fell from her eyes. As soon as your new husband realises how bossy you are, he'll send you back to Kabul as fast as he can. Nuria laughed and climbed into the truck. She and Mother covered themselves with their burqas. The women's group member and her father were sitting in the front seat. Pavana and Mrs. Vera watched and waved as the truck drove out of sight. I think we could both use a cup of tea, Mrs. Vera said as they went upstairs. Pavana found the next few weeks to be very strange. With only herself, Mrs. Vera, and Mrs. Vera's grandchild, the apartment seemed almost empty. Fewer people meant fewer chores, less noise, and more free time. Pavana even missed Ali's fussing. As the weeks went by, she looked forward more and more to everyone coming back. Still, she did enjoy having more free time. For the first time since Father's arrest, she took his book out of their secret place in the cupboard. Evenings were spent reading and listening to Mrs. Vera's stories. Mrs. Vera believed in trusting her. In some parts in the country, girls your age are getting married and having babies, she said. I'm here if you need me, but if you want to be responsible for yourself, that's fine too. She insisted that Pavana keep some of her wages as pocket money. Sometimes Pavana would treat Shuzia to lunch at one of the kebab stands in the market. They'd find a sheltered place to go to the bathroom and keep working all day. Pavana preferred to come home at the end of the day rather than at noon. It meant that one more day was over and her family would be home soon. Towards the end of August there was a bad rainstorm. Shuzia had already gone home. She had seen the darkening sky and didn't feel like getting wet. Pavana wasn't so clever, and she caught... I keep losing my place today. Pavana wasn't so clever and she got caught in the rain. She covered her tray with her arms and to keep her cigarettes dry and ducked into a warmed out building. She would wait out the storm there to go home when it was over. The darkness outside made the inside even blacker. It took a while for her eyes to adjust. While she waited for that to happen, she leaned against the doorway, watching the rain turn Kabul's dust into mud. Gusts of wind mixed with driving rain forced Pavana deeper inside the building. Hoping There were no landmines. She found a dry spot and sat down. The pounding of the rain beat a steady rhythm as it hit the ground. Pavana began to nod. In a little while, she was asleep. When she woke up, the rain had stopped, although the sky was no lighter. It must be late, Pavana said out loud. It was then that she heard the sound of a woman crying. Okay, and that's the end of the chapter. We've only got 2 more chapters to go of the book, so I'm currently thinking, I'm not sure if tomorrow I'm going to do the 2 chapters at once or whether I leave the last chapter as a bit of a suspense to come back to next week. You can always message on Google Classroom and see what you'd prefer, but in the meantime, I'll see you later.